What's up, guys? Today we're playing Epic 7 and we're finishing up our last Dagger Sicar hunt mission. Now, I saved this one for last because I knew it was going to be horrible. We are 100%. I literally just finished it. It took me so many tries. Now this hunt is probably going to give me some flashbacks for the next couple of days, but I did have fun trying to figure it out. So let's talk about what you should not do. The first thing is, this boss hates debuffs. If you stack 3 debuffs on the boss, she will dispel them all and then punch you right in the face. It hurts, it will end your run. The next thing is that they will dispel all of your buffs and possibly silence you. This really came into play when I was using Aria and I would put up her S3 and then the boss would immediately remove them. If you don't want to just leave it up to luck, try and time your S3 to when this skill has just been used or is down. Another thing is that poison does work on this boss. So does Daydream Joker. I had tried a few poison runs and they did do okay. My problem was that it was difficult to put a poison run together without applying 3 debuffs at a time. If you can keep up 2 poisons on the boss at all times and not bring other people who will apply an additional defense break or a non-buffable or anything like that, then that will help your run quite a lot and you can definitely do it. Now let's start talking about the requirements for your team. The first thing that you're going to want to do is bring someone who can apply a defense break. Now I had tried various people that can do a defense break here and it just wasn't working for me. Champion Zerato, Karen, Sid, you have a lot of characters that can apply defense break, but I found that if you have a defense break for 1 turn, then I really don't have the opportunity to do enough damage on the boss to make it worth it. And the cooldowns aren't long enough to where you can get that 1 turn back up later and do more damage. You need to have a 2-turn defense break. For that, I brought Aiden. Now, Aiden is a free character that you get, I think, in episode 4, and then you can level her up and beef her up as you go through the quest. She has a guaranteed defense break on her S3, and she also has something called Weakness Shared, which will give you more damage against the boss and help to lower some of that requirement for gear to do this mission. You don't really want to use her S2 beyond that first wave. Once you apply Unable to be debuffed, then you can trigger that 3 debuff, and then the boss goes berserk on you. Her S1 was pretty good. It helps her to cycle more quickly, and as you can see, I have her on a little bit of speed. She just has leftover gear that I just quickly applied. You want to have her at least 65% effectiveness. I got kind of lucky in this run, I think, because I didn't have the proper effectiveness, but I still landed my debuffs. Your artifact probably doesn't matter very much. You can get her on Knife, and that will work out pretty well. You can also put her on Daydream Joker, and she can help do some more damage. Speaking of damage, our next character, I used the specialty change Alexa. Now this character is new. She's only been out like a couple of weeks by this point. She has a great design, and it's the volleyball design that we saw on the event for the last 2 years. As you can see, we're going to go into the Awaken, and she has no runes to her Awaken tree. So if you rune her out, if this is the character that you like to use, I think that she's pretty good. I think she has a lot of potential, and she has a great animation on her S3, which is really important when you're trying to do the same thing over and over again. You want something nice to look at. She has poison on her S2, As long as you bring in some effectiveness, then she'll apply 2 poisons, which is very good. Now, if you apply 2 poisons, you don't want to apply defense break, because that's going to reset the boss and then you're going to get hosed. I actually have her on my Politis gear. I kind of just threw it on her so that I would have something to use and just kind of test it out and see how it would go. She is basically a damage dealer stats, mid-range speed, and then 65% effectiveness is good for her. You can see she gets some crit from her Awakened tree, and so you don't need quite as much crit chance as you do other characters. Daydream Joker is going to work better. I threw this on. I didn't actually expect the run to succeed, and then it did. If you put Daydream Joker with these stats, she is going to tear. It's going to be awesome. I highly recommend her. Just watch out for the S2 and the debuffs. Now next is going to be Vivian. Vivian is used here because she can apply immunity and save you a lot of damage from the boss and from that first wave. The other thing that she does is she can use her S2, wipe out that first wave, and then wipe out the second wave trash eggs so that you can start on the boss right away. You want to make sure that she goes before your Aiden or whoever your defense breaker is. That way you can apply the defense break right away and then start going to town. So turn order, you really want Vivian to go, then you want defense breaker to go, then you want to start doing damage or pull in your Aria. I have her on the S2 effective equipment or exclusive equipment. This is going to help you cycle, and this is basically what you use for any one of your hunts. Also, Time Matter. You can put her on a lot of different kinds of artifacts. You can put her on Dinga's Orb, which is very popular. It's going to enable her to do damage on the next turn. But what Time Matter does is it resets that skill. So you're able to do an S2, kill everyone, then S2 immediately on the next turn, and that will help take out all the eggs. She's here for damage, she is here for the immunity, and she's here for being able to do an AoE and wipe out the eggs. Then lastly, we have Aria. I really struggled with trying to figure out who to get here. One problem that we have with this type of hunt is that your mages and your thief, they don't really have the survivability and also the ability to fit into the team with everyone else. So what I like about her is her S3 gives you a barrier and stealth reduces the damage of AoE attacks. So overall, she's reducing damage that your other characters are going to suffer. I also like that she can bring Fairy Tale for a Nightmare, or that you can use Violin, and Violin's going to help you to dispel a buff from the boss, and then hopefully when they're building up that buff every 4 hits, that you can take it off and they're not able to do as much damage. One thing to watch out for on Aria is that she has a blind on her S1. A couple of runs, not a lot, this blind did hit. It's a pretty low chance, and I don't have her with a lot of effectiveness, but I did hit, it reset, and then the boss nuked me, right? What you want on her is 2k defense. You want 14,000 health is pretty good. Decent amount of speed, but not necessary, because you want her pretty much to go last, right? You want your turn order to be last so that she puts up the shield and protects your units against that next attack that's going to come from the boss. Decent amount of crit, and your crit damage can be down to 200, 225, and it's going to be just fine. She gets some crit damage on her S2 as her health decreases, so her damage is pretty decent, especially on Fairy Tale. For this run, I would run her with no effectiveness, or as low as you can get. 15 or less should be fine, because if she applies that blind debuff, then it could end your run. Now, one thing that happens with Aria is a lot of people like to run her on lifesteal, and I think that'll work here as well. I like to run her with a little bit of effect resist, because one thing that she has as a counter is everyone who can strip and remove all of her buffs. Now I know you're thinking, Aria, strip, okay, probably not a great choice of words. We got some like garter, like going into the hip action. Don't get too excited. I just mean that she uses S3 to put up that shield, and you want to have someone or some effect resist so that she doesn't lose that shield right away and then get torn up. As you can see, I have her on no molas. I'm not really convinced in her ability to be viable in Guild Wars, and so I haven't really invested in her at all. So, you know, what do we have so far, right? We have a pretty decent Vivian. We have a Aiden on spare gear. We have no molas on Aria, and then we have an Alexa who doesn't have a proper artifact and has no runes in her skill tree, and then we still did it. So this is going to be about the stats you need. Don't make my same mistakes. Put the investment into them, and you'll do it much easier than I did. Now, having said that, I did it in 20 runs or less, so it didn't take me a lot of time, but I did have to gear out different characters that are kind of embarrassing. One of those characters is Guider Aether. I don't know, I was looking for the barrier, I was looking for the healing, and it was a disaster. This guy has, you know, pretty okay gear on, I would say. 339% crit, but I'm gonna tell you, it's not good. If you have this little twink and he's level 60 and you're like, oh my goodness, I made a mistake when I was a noob and I have to use him somewhere, try it. You never know. But I tried it and it was awful. Now granted, level 50 and no awaken, but yeah. Guider Aether is food. Food. And that's it. That's about as good as I can say it. One other thing that you can look at, I don't have her built, but Luluka could really help you here. She does have the 2-turn defense break. It's on an 85% chance. So it's not going to land every single time, but it's good enough that you can use her and it'll work out. She also has a barrier. So this is going to give you defense and barrier to everyone. And this will be a good replacement for Aria if you don't have her. Now, I don't have Luluka built. I did have Aria built, and I'm kind of struggling to find a place for her. So if Aria didn't work, Luluka would have been my second choice. Really, she should be your first choice because she's going to do a lot better.
Are you confident? Destruction. Answer my call.
I never let my guard down. Hurt.
You fool.
I won't back down.
I'm all ready. How dare you? Can't you handle this? You'll regret facing me. All is done.
You'll regret underestimating me. Where are you looking? I'm over here!
You haven't heard of Shadow. I'll be with you.
I'll do my best.
I'll let you know what sets me apart. Are you confident? Unleash my power!
You'd better be prepared!
You'll regret this.
I won't back down.
Very interesting.
I never let my guard down. Wind slash!
I see fear in your eyes. I'm ready.
You're weaker than I thought. Be prepared. Here's the final strike.
You fool.
It's Arky's turn.
I'll tear you to shreds.
You'll regret underestimating me.
You haven't heard of shadow elves. The power of the shadows. The greater good requires sacrifice.
You're weaker than I thought. Let's go, let's go!